Hey Guy, it's great to see you.
Hey, good afternoon.
I'd love to ask you some questions. Is that alright?
Absolutely.
Perfect. Let's get right into it. On a scale from 1 to 10, how excited are you about your life right now?
I would say I'm probably a solid 9.
What movie or TV show you have been watching lately?
Yeah, recently I've been going through Res Dogs on Crave.
If you had one superpower, what would it be?
I would probably say that if I had a superpower, probably healing. The idea to be able to heal people would be appealing to me.
That's awesome. Can you explain your role or position at Fanshawe?
Well, my position's in EGADZ, Special Advisor Indigenous Education and Development, and really what my responsibility is to look at Indigenous education and how we can make improvements as a college as a whole to have better outcomes in terms of retention and graduation, and at the same time build relationships with our community partners.
What initiatives or projects are you working on currently?
Well, right now we're looking at the whole aspect of access to college and how might we improve the application process so that we can be some more supportive, so that we can help people with the transition into college and be able to answer the questions that they might have. And the same thing comes in terms of some of our initiatives around future work, which is really about enhancing the skills that are required for the future workforce.
Wow, amazing. Tell me one thing that you want to do in the coming years for students.
I think one thing that I really want to focus on is how can we sort of build that collective learning community? How can we provide sort of the wraparound wellness services so that when we look at education, we think of education as fun. We think of it as creating a safe place for them, and to really create those initiatives that allow us to individuals to be themselves, but also to see, hear, and understand other students.
What would be your greatest achievement so far?
Our greatest achievement? God, that's hard because I think we're taught the idea of humility. Probably, I think the greatest achievement so far is just the embedding the Indigenous Action Plan within the SMA, so that we've set some measurable targets that we want to achieve. And by having those discussions, it's become a discussion about how can we all work together? How can we work together as a college to improve the outcomes? And it becomes not just one responsibility. It's not my responsibility. It's my responsibility with the rest of the college and the different partners that I have in the academic side or the business and strategy, and how might we work together to make those improved outcomes. And let's make sure that we do things that are meaningful, and meaningful in the sense that they're meaningful to students and meaningful to community.
Nice. Which country do you wish to visit?
Oh, goodness. Countries? Probably Ireland. I think there's a bit of a shared experience when I think about what Indigenous people have had within Canada, and I think of Ireland, and they also very much a tribal type people, and they've had to deal with the encroachment on their own sort of ways and beliefs. So it's probably somewhere, and I do like that they like to have fun. So probably Ireland.
That's a great answer. Who do you look up to the most?
I think I look up to in the past it was my father. He used to be a vice president, one of our national associations for Indigenous people. Just had a really good way of quiet leadership. I think a lot of our knowledge keepers and ceremony makers, they have a way of bringing community together and really get you to think about your actions and how you might use whether it's your education, your experiences, to help people as a whole. So those are probably the folks that I most look up to.
What's one thing people don't know about you?
Oh, probably they spent a great deal of my time in the woods. I'm an avid hiker. There's probably not a mountain that I haven't seen and wanted to get to the top of.
What advice would you give to your younger self?
I'd say if I was talking to my younger self, I would just say that, life is learning. And, it's important to look at every opportunity as a way to find inspiration, to learn, and not be fearful in that learning journey that sometimes along the way you make some mistakes, but there's so much that can be learned from that. And if you take that and you see that as an opportunity, then really you don't have failures, you just have learning opportunities.
What would be the most challenging part of your role?
I think the most challenging part of what I do, it's this idea that we're kind of on a bit of a learning journey where as an Indigenous person and an Indigenous people, we're learning about the college and figuring out ways that we can make improvements to that. And at the same time, the college is learning about Indigenous people too, and about what the needs are and how we might have to design programs so that we can have better outcomes with it. So I think it's that navigating sort of that space in between where we take this journey together, where I get to learn about you, you get to learn about me, and we're doing it with the outset that we're just trying to think about what's best for students. And in doing that, sometimes we're doing things that are very different from the way that we've typically done things as a college. But that's okay, and we're learning from it, and we're getting better at it, and we're making those steady improvements.
How do you support students?
We support students by really developing trust-based relationships. We don't wait for students to come to us. Right from the time that they apply to the college, we start reaching out. And we're looking to try to build that relationship with them to the point where if they have a question, we're here to help answer that. If they want to have a better understanding of what's required of them as a college student, we want to be that voice for them. And what we're trying to do with that is that really build that opportunity to truly build a collective learning community, and it be us together all being part of that learning community.
What are the 3 things you can't live without?
Oh, goodness. Oh, my family, my wife, my daughters, and probably adventure. I like adventure in my life, so.
What's the most adventurous thing you've done in your life?
I think the most adventurous thing I've done is when I was 21 years old, I spent a month in Hawaii. And while I was there, I met an individual from New Zealand, and he convinced me to go body surfing on the Bonsai Pipeline. So we swam out beyond the break. It took us 45 minutes, and coming back in, it was about a 14-foot wave, and I rode the top of it, and as he was going down the side, I realized that I wasn't going down the side. So I crashed into the water and tumbled up onto the beach, and that was a one take, one and done. So,
if you could switch lives with one person for a day, who would it be?
I don't think it would be a person. I think it probably would be an animal. My totem is a lynx, and the opportunity to wander the forests and have that experience, that would probably be ideal for me if I had a day that I could do something that somebody else does.
What is your message to students?
My message is that you're always welcome. Please come and visit us. We really want to meet you. We really want to hear what your concerns are, what your perspectives, what your hopes are, and figure out ways that we can come along this learning journey with you.
How can students reach out to you?
Well, I think the key thing is just come and visit us, right? Our doors are always open. We're often in our office. If you're a student and you have a question, just come and ask us. There is no question that isn't worthwhile. So whatever that might be, I invite you to come in and let's have a conversation, and maybe we'll share a coffee or a tea and maybe some food and get to know one another.
Thank you for taking your time to answer these questions, Guy. I've learned a lot.
Bamapi, Hentla, Miigwech.